Ladies and gentlemen, this is the gospel according to what's being taught by the prophets of Black Hebrew Israelites. Let's begin. First and foremost, you need to know your ethnicity. This gospel is ethnocentric. It's driven by your ethnicity, that supposedly you're Israelite. And this is based off of scriptures from Deuteronomy 28 that says, because of the fact that you were brought over in slave ships to a land that you had been before, that therefore this is proof that you are Israelite. Oh, by the way, and there are curses that fit you. For example, iron upon your neck, iron that was used with chattel slavery, so forth, so forth, even though we're missing some things. Then on top of that, God created the other nations that eventually they'll all be slaves to you, using the same system of chattel slavery as their punishment and eventually him wiping them out. This is what you should be happy for, because this is the gospel according to Black Hebrew Israelism. Now, your salvation is works-based. It's completely works-based. In fact, because of the fact that we don't celebrate the Sabbath according to what their understanding of the Sabbath is, or we don't do the feast days and so forth, we have disobeyed God. And this is the reason why we're in the slave condition that we are. We're being oppressed by our oppressors, although most of us are able to leave our homes and do everything else, equivalent to chattel slavery, but it's a whole nother topic. We're still being oppressed because we're not on top. Supposedly, according to Black Hebrew Israelism, we're better than any other nation in the world. If you only follow the Mosaic law, that's going to save you. That will work. In fact, God will be so pleased with your works by you following the Mosaic law, he'll have no choice but to allow you in. After all, the 12 gates only are marked for Israel. They don't say it of any other ethnicity. Ethnocentric approach to the gospel. Oh, by the way, what about the fact that we're supposed to be sacrificing? Oh, well, Jesus took care of that. In fact, that's the only reason why he came. He came because he is a black man, and God, although the scripture says God is spirit, is also a black man. Because of the fact that Daniel talks about his hair being wool. But then again, I know that whole thing about his skin being emerald and all that stuff, we're going to ignore that. But his hair being wool, that's ultimate proof that he's ultimately a black man. And let's go to even Revelations. Revelation says that his eyes were red and he had feet like the color of burnt bronze and his hair was pure white wool. Let alone we got to talk about that whole sword coming out of the mouth, but that's a whole nother topic. By the way, that's how he walked on this earth during his 33 years. Jesus, because of the fact that he died only to replace the sacrificial laws, and now that we can save ourselves by the laws, this by our own works and our own righteousness, by showing God we can keep his laws, that's what's going to save us in the end, and that would give us the ability to be gods. In fact, the scripture says, as Black Hebrew Israelites, we are gods. But our powers haven't come up yet. So when God turns around and destroys some of all the nations, and we get to keep the others as chattel slaves, now, lo and behold, we now get those powers where we'll be able to fly, shoot laser beams out of our eyes, and so forth. This is what every black person in America and throughout the world should be hoping for. Our ability to be like God by flying in the air, shooting laser beams, being able to be priests that teach the Mosaic law, and we not really depend on the works of Christ, let alone on top of that, we should be able to also have our own slaves in the end, because that's what we're really fighting for. Ultimately, to be like the very people that we hated. That is the gospel of Hebrew Israelism. Oh, there is one other piece that I forgot. That redemption thing, where Jesus says that anyone who comes unto them that they can receive his salvation now. But Black Hebrew Israelism says you have to wait. As long as you're following the law, and as long as you're keeping the festivals and the Sabbaths, and as long as you have a pure hatred for all other nations, according to what you believe scripture says, you'll get your redemption in the end. I'm not sure of that or not. Isn't that something you'd be looking forward to?